With some 80 days to go till Election Day, France's outgoing president has his work cut out. He trails his main rival by 16 points in the polls. Nicolas Sarkozy has been defending the German model to French voters, all the while touting an unpopular rise in sales tax to help trim the deficit. But there's been a sudden shift in the focus of the campaign, from the economy to national identity. The president standing by one of his closest confidants, Interior Minister Claude Guéant, who over the weekend told a private meeting of right-wing student union leaders that all civilizations are not on equal footing. In a moment, we'll show you that statement in full, and the question of whether it's what France's ruling majority truly believes or mere pandering to a far-right electorate that could make or break Sarkozy's re-election hopes. Also, to what degree have anti-immigrant and Islamophobe ideas gone mainstream in French politics? Today in the France 24 debate, France and the far right. And with us to talk about it, Charles Djivadinovic of the ruling UMP party. Thanks for being with us. Bruno Gollnisch, member of the European Parliament from the far right National Front. Thank you.
Good evening.
Stephen Clark, journalist and author of 1,000 Years of Annoying the French. Nice to see you again. And from the French city of Nice, Gilles Ivaldi, who studies migration policy on the far right in Europe at the French National Public Research Center, the CNRS. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
The France 24 debate, which you can always, where you can always weigh in on the discussion on Facebook and on Twitter, our handle at François F24. Let's indeed start with the Interior Minister's statement. Wasn't captured on camera. Over the weekend, Claude Guéant saying, contrary to what the left's relativist ideology says, for us, all civilizations are not of equal value. Those which defend humanity seem to us to be more advanced than those that do not. He goes on to say, those which would defend liberty, equality, and fraternity seem to us superior to those which accept tyranny, the subservience of women, social and ethnic hatred, adding that he stressed the need to protect our civilization. Charles Djivadinovic, this is clearly aimed at Muslims and immigrants.
It is absolutely not. We have the president of the Conseil Français du Culte Musulman, which is the French organization for Muslim people, representing Muslim people, are going to send a letter to Mr. Guéant. We have to wait for his response, but it's clearly not aimed to the Muslim population. We have in our UMP ruling party different sensibilities. You have Alain Juppé or Jean-Pierre Raffarin, who told other things about this issue. But I think that if you look Mr. Guéant's sentence, if you just read the sentence, it's not that shocking. It's just here a
the
media...
need to protect our civilization?
Yes, we need to protect, well, we need
From what? From whom?
No, we need to protect our political regime. We need to protect our country. And I think that what Mr. Guéant said, it was in front of some students. The sentence was put out of the context by Twitter, by a journalist which was on Twitter. And what we are saying today is that we do not want to be in the heart of a polemica. We are on the ideas and we are on the values and not on little sentences like this.
Gilles Ivaldi, do you think that statement's been taken out of context?
Yeah, well, I think it's you have to put it in context, in fact, and look at a longer perspective on this. I mean, since 2007, I think the UMP and particularly Nicolas Sarkozy has endorsed the identity politics of the FN. And I mean, we've had a number of statements like this in the past by Claude Guéant and other members of the UMP. I mean, we know the right wing of the UMP, the droite populaire, is very close to the FN ideologically. So I think I would think this is another strategic attempt to recapture the FN vote. And of course, this is linked to the current position of Sarkozy in the presidential and the FN threat.
A couple of hours ago, Parliament's question time turned stormy indeed when Martinique lawmaker Serge Lachimi asked the Interior Minister about the statement.
Vous nous ramenez jour après jour à ces idéologies européennes qui ont donné naissance aux camps de concentration, au bout du long chapelet esclavagiste et colonial. Monsieur Guéant, Le régime nazi, si soucieux de purification, était-ce une civilisation?
Mes chers collègues,
La barbarie
on
de
se calme.
l'esclavage dans la colonisation,
On se calme.
était-ce une mission civilisatrice? Il existe, monsieur le
Mes
Premier
chers collègues,
ministre,
allons, on se calme.
une France obscure qui cultive la nostalgie de cette époque, que vous tentez de récupérer sur le terrain du Front National.
Asseyez-vous, asseyez-vous.
C'est un jeu dangereux et une démagogie qui est inacceptable.
Calme. Lawmakers from the government walking out of Parliament for a while. They had to suspend proceedings. Stephen Clark, were those lawmakers right to walk out of Parliament after that comparison?
Well, they're obviously obeying an order from the high up. It's all been orchestrated. I mean, politicians during election campaign rarely say something by chance, do they? I mean, if you send out a message subliminally, you can argue about the exact context and the grammar of the sentence if you want. It's obviously a political message which works. You know, we're sitting here discussing the subject this evening. Lots of people on the right and left are getting very agitated about it. It's a cynical electoral move. I mean, from a man who a year ago he said something very similar. He said something about soon the French won't feel at home anymore, I think he said, and I think the Front National said they were going to offer him an honorary membership or something like that. I read that on the BBC website, and as it's the BBC, I believe it. I'm not sure if it's true or not. But I mean, you know, it's all a big electoral game. Obviously, you know, someone on the right.
It was prepared because each Tuesday morning you have a group meeting at the National Assembly of every group, and I think that the socialist group prepared this argument and prepared such a fuss, and I think that they must apologize for it because they are weakening the debate.
And the walkout was prepared as well. It's all prepared. I mean, weakening the debate, weakening what debate? Weakening the debate.
Well, the walkout wasn't prepared because
in a civilized country, you can't have a civilized debate about whether one civilization is superior to the other. You can't do it. You know, it's not a civilized debate. So, you know, what's prepared and what's not prepared. It's all a big electoral game.
The French president, as we said at the outset, sticking by his interior minister in remarks he made in the company of the German chancellor Monday evening.
This is one of these ridiculous debates that only politicians can have. The interior minister said that a civilization, a regime, a society that doesn't grant the same rights to men and women doesn't have the same value. It's common sense. And if we would just stop debating this, we would save a lot of time.
Bruno Gollnisch, your reaction to that statement?
Well, I find it very strange that in a country which was one of the freest in the world for debate and speech, that there is such a fuss about this statement. Well, first of all, let me...
So you're saying the government is wrong to have walked out of Parliament?
Let me make clear that if Mr. Guéant is intending to catch some votes from the Front National doesn't advocate any kind of superiority. We do not want to dominate any other culture, any other people, any other race, or any other civilization. Where I think all civilizations, all identities are now facing the menace of globalism, which should be explained in more globalization. Not globalization only. Globalization is something, but globalism, which is more than globalization. It's a theory. There are some strengths, financial, political attempt to destroy the freedoms of nation, to establish a kind of a world power, to mix people and to have no differences anymore between people, between civilizations. And I think.
But hang on a second.
There are a lot.
The head of your movement, the honorary head of your movement, Jean-Marie Le Pen, has numerous times said that there is a difference between the civilizations and that Western civilization is superior. He has said it in the past before.
Yes. But that doesn't mean there are differences. It's obvious. We're not, for example, the Egyptian civilization more
But he has
more advanced.
He has in the past claimed that Western civilization is superior.
Please, if you put questions, please kindly let me answer. Wasn't the Egyptian civilization more advanced than ours 4,000 years ago? And isn't it still now? For example, I like, the symphonic orchestra. Isn't it hasn't it a kind of a superiority compared to African tam-tam? And maybe the African, yes. And that's what I think, at least. And I think I should be free to think like that. And I'd prefer Mozart to rap, for example. And on the contrary, I would say that, for example, the Africans certainly show much more respect to the aged than our civilization, that we should learn from them. It depends on in which field, but I think that the fact of stating that everything is equal, that you have no right to make a difference, not to appreciate at a lower or higher level, it's a kind of totalitarianism.
Gilles Valdi, is the discourse that you're hearing different from the National Front of old?
No, not at all. I think this is clearly the old discourse by the Front National. I mean, what Bruno Gollnisch said has been, part of the party's ideology for many years now. It's actually this very simple idea that you say that all cultures are equal, but somehow, some are less compatible with ours. And obviously, Bruno Gollnisch is forgetting about all the attacks by the FN on the so-called Islamization of France and the Islamic threat to France. And the fact that for Marine Le Pen, people who are Muslims don't really integrate in our culture. So I think that's something we should discuss further. It's not that simple. And
Yes, go ahead, Gilles Valdi.
The second thing is about the strategy, because obviously I think Claude Guéant is part of this strategic attempt to recapture the FN vote, as I said. But I think this could be a double-edged sword, because at the moment, economic issues are dominating the campaign, and we know that Marine Le Pen has a very low credibility on those issues. So I think if the UMP tries to bring back the campaign to those cultural issues like immigration, crime, then it might, give political momentum to the FN. So I think they should be more careful in bringing back those issues into the campaign at the moment.
Charles Jivaninovich, is Claude Guéant opening a Pandora's box here that could backfire?
We're actually not running behind the National Front. We are a lot of steps over the National Front. We don't agree when Mr. Gollnisch says, for example, in some medias a few years ago, that there is an invasion of our country by Islam. And on all the pillars and all the fundaments of a political program, we are in an opposition with the National Front. On the economics, we want a regulations. National Front wants to go out of the euro. On France, which is part of the program, we are patriot. We are proud of being French. We are proud of our country. We are proud of our flag. The National Front is a national. No, we always have been. The National Front is a nationalist party rising communitarism. And on the social issue, we are for justice and firmity, and the National Front is for what they call the French preference, which is going out of the national constitution and which is going also out of the European Declaration of the Citizens and Rights. So, and just one last thing, if you look at the polling data, one of the polling data, it shows that 80% of the French people say that Marine Le Pen's program lacks of credibility. This is why on the economics, on the social, and on our idea of France, we oppose the National Front.
But what Gilles Valdi said was by bringing the debate away from economics and towards issues of identity, that in fact you might backfire miserably because of that.
No, because I think our party is both strong on the economics, dealing with the economical crisis as we have done during the 5 years, and is also very strong on the national issues with this pride of being French.
And you mentioned the fact that there are divisions within the president's cabinet, within the president's majority. Some back Guéant's statements, for instance, the defense minister.
I would have said it differently, but I think the same thing. Indeed, there is culture, civilization, and society, three slightly different concepts which need to be specified.
And some are against.
The term civilization can be confusing, but I think at all costs, we need to avoid confronting civilizations. Only debate, dialogue, and sharing can lead to a better future.
Stephen Clark, your thoughts on this?
Still horrified by the idea that you can say that symphony orchestras are superior to another kind of music. I mean, exactly. Surely the idea about civilization is that you respect other civilizations and you don't make value judgments about them. You know,
why? Why? Respecting is something. Make a value judgment is something else.
Yeah, but you can't say that this is better than that. It just, surely
yes, it's my right to say that I prefer this or that. And we can discuss about the matter.
Yes, but you can't say that it's better. You can say I prefer dark chocolate. I prefer coffee to tea.
Okay.
So what? It doesn't mean that coffee is better than tea. It's just that it's a pure value judgment. You cannot have these great. I don't think in a modern civilized society, which is supposed to be an open society, I don't think you can have debates about the value judgment. This is better than that. You can say I prefer this to that. But that doesn't mean it's not a philosophical statement. And you can't base your whole politics on the idea that one thing is superior to another.
Okay, let's come back, for example, to this socialist member of parliament who criticized Mr. Guéant. He said, well, it comes back to Nazi project of civilization. And obviously and rightfully, he despised it. So he himself is having a value judgment.
Well, okay.
You cannot live without value judgment. You can make mistakes, obviously, but and the fact of forbidding people to have a value judgment, to prefer their own civilization. Lévi-Strauss, the great French ethnologist, said, well, maybe we can say that all civilizations are equal, but you defend better your own civilization if you believe that it is better than the others.
Before we go to the break, Stephen Clark, on the issue of the French cabinet, with different voices, and some saying they back the statement, others saying they don't.
Huge embarrassment, obviously, because launching France into this debate, which unfortunately, I mean, people are talking about the Second World War. The trouble is, France has had a terrible problem since the Second World War with national identity, because during the Second World War, its national identity was ripped to pieces. And I think it's a horribly old-fashioned debate, national identity. It's something that in the UK, that we've got away from it more. You don't have extreme parties in the UK. Everyone seems to be on...
Well, you have the BNP, which is
how many
rising.
They haven't got any MPs. They're not represented in Parliament. No one's interested in them.
They don't have any MPs also.
I like Nick Griffin very much. I think he's a new Winston Churchill that your country is in need of. Yes.
Right, don't try and say that on an English TV program.
We'll continue the discussion. You're watching the France 24 debate.
Yeah. Shall I be jailed for that?
No, laughed at.
No, laughed at. Yes, yes. Well, Winston Churchill was laughed at also.
France 24 on your iPad. Keep up to date on international news in real time, whether you're at home or on the move. France 24's worldwide coverage now on your iPad. Reports from the field, debates, interviews, accessible anywhere, anytime, and it's all free. France 24 on the iPad. The news, wherever and whenever you want it.